All right. Tough night. Tough night, deflating night for sure. I think this was not the night that a lot of us expected. I certainly did not expect this. I expected the Knicks to come out with a little bit more of a sense of urgency. And that was not the case if we're keeping it a buck. Pacers win by a final score 116-103. This night was pretty simple. One team played like the team that if they lost the game, they were going to go home. And they showed that sense of urgency really from the opening tip. And the other team didn't. And that is not to say that the Knicks did not come out with effort. They did. That's not to say that the Knicks didn't come out with a serious MO. It doesn't mean they didn't come out with a game plan. It doesn't mean they didn't come out trying to win and doing the things that you need to do to win basketball games, because they did some of those things. Not nearly enough. They did some of those things. But you cannot fake desperation. You can't fake desperation. And I thought that manifested itself in a number of ways. Obviously, the number that's going to get the most attention is the rebounding discrepancy. I don't even know what the final discrepancy was. There, I got it here. 47-35. But I thought that they, you know what, were more or less equal or close to being equal on that front for most of the first half. And they made, because they were down big in the rebounding margin early. I think they were down 9-7 initially. Then the Knicks came back with a push towards the end of the first quarter, and it was pretty much even. And at the very end of the half, you saw the Pacers go on that run, which is, I mean, this game turned a few times, and obviously a 17-2 run at the end of the first half ended up being a DiVincenzo 3 to close the scoring to make it 10 points going into halftime. But 17-2 run, I mean, that tells you all you need to know. And I didn't think necessarily the effort on the boards or the effort in any facet of the game was the culprit necessarily for that run. What I did think was the culprit for that run, and really for me, more than the rebounding edge, more than Jalen Brunson having the worst first half of his, I mean, really felt like we were watching the worst first half at the very least of his Knicks career. And more than Josh Hart, who we're going to talk about in a second. To me, the story of the game was the Knicks could not stay in front. And I thought what the craziest thing about this series has been to me is that aspect of the game has been night and day, because you saw in the second half of game 3, starting after a few minutes after halftime, I thought the Knicks played some of their most inspired defense of the season. Then that went to game 4 when they played probably their worst defense of the season. Then that went to game 5 where you saw them again play their most as inspired a defense as we've seen all year. And then tonight, I don't think it shifted all the way in the other direction. I thought, again, there were some nice possessions defensively. I thought they were trying to get their hands in passing lanes. They were getting their hands on balls here and there. It was not uniform. It was not bad for 48 minutes. I don't even know if it was bad for the majority of the time. But it was bad enough. It was bad enough that every time a Knick was not strong in a closeout or strong in a rotation, the Pacers took advantage. And really, I'm burying the lead here. I mean, look, this is a Knicks post-game show. We're going to talk about the Knicks. Everyone's going to have things that they're going to yell and scream about related to the Knicks, what the Knicks didn't do, what the Knicks could have done better, so on and so forth, because that's what we do. We watch the Knicks, we root for the Knicks, so we look at this thing from a Knicks perspective. Give all the freaking credit in the world to the Indiana Pacers. And that's not something that we usually do, but I don't know how you can watch that game tonight and not just tip your cap to a young team. You don't know how a young team is going to come out with their season on the line. They've never been in this spot before. Could have been their last game of the year, coming off an absolute ass whooping. you don't know how they're going to come out. Are they going to come out tight? Are they going to come out and be selfish? Are they going to take shots they don't usually take? Are they going to, not defend with the level of precision they need to, with the level of aggression? Are they going to, all of those things? They checked tonight every single box to that was in their within their ability to check. And I say that, and you might listen to it, and you say, well, then explain to me how the Knicks were only down by 10 at the half, and Jalen Brunson had the worst half of his career, and the Pacers checked all these boxes, and the Knicks didn't. Well, I think that speaks to the fact that the Knicks are still a better team than the Pacers. And I still believe the Knicks are a better team than the Pacers, and I believe the Knicks are going to win on Sunday, although Josh Hart's availability certainly makes me make that prediction with less certainty. But, I think the Knicks did a lot of good things in the first half, especially. It was looking like we were going to get the thing that we needed to win a road game 6, and that thing for a while looked like it was going to be Deuce McBride, and then Dante DiVincenzo chimed in to kind of pick up the slacks. And again, they were doing they got on the offensive boards before the end of the first half. They ended up with 9 offensive rebounds in the first half. They were doing some good stuff. They weren't doing enough good things. And between that and Jalen Brunson having the half that Jalen Brunson had, you had the Pacers being up by 10. Probably should have been up closer to 15. But again, credit to the Knicks for hanging around as well as they did. And then that led to the second half. And in the second half is where I thought they really, I don't know if letting go of the rope is probably too harsh a term. I don't know that I would say that they let go of the rope, but whatever ability they showed to stay in front and have some decent defensive possessions in the first half, I thought that went by the wayside in the second half. And I wonder if there was a moment. So obviously the Knicks came out of third quarter, went on a 5-0 run, very quick, lead down to 5. It was okay, we're going to get the game that we thought we were going to get. We're going to get the second half performance that we thought we were going to get out of the gate. And then I thought, really, if I'm going to pinpoint one moment where the game turned, it was those next 2 Pacers possessions. And it was all it was a 6-0 run, but it was the way that the 6-0 run happened. One was a 3 that happened after the Knicks almost got a steal. They had their hands on the ball, and somehow it made its way out to a Pacer, and I forget who hit which 3, but Pacer hit a 3. They missed, came back out, and then it was a miss, and then there was a tip out, and there was another 3, and then boom, just like that, lead back up to 11. You saw Josh Hart slam the ball in frustration after that second 3, and I noticed that, and I'm like, that speaks volumes to me, because it's rare. And not that you don't see emotion out of Josh Hart. I just feel like that was almost like an admission from him, man, we were right freaking there, and we just gave it all back. And given how he was feeling, and then he asked out of the game shortly thereafter, came back in, eventually left for the game. I don't think it's a coincidence that we're talking about all these things, that we're talking about the Knicks' inability to sufficiently hit the glass, that we're talking about their inability to make solid enough rotations and good closeouts. I don't think it's a coincidence we're talking about those things on a night that Josh Hart wasn't Josh Hart. And the Knicks are more than just Josh Hart, but there's a reason why, and they said it on the broadcast, there's a reason why we've called him the heart and soul team all year long. And whenever they are on those runs where they're flying around and they're grabbing every rebound, wouldn't you know it, who's in the middle of all that stuff far more often than not? It's Josh Hart. And, the Knicks end this game 13 offensive rebounds, meaning they only had 4 after halftime. And another number that I thought was extraordinarily notable, especially coming off of Game 5, Pacers only had 9 turnovers in this game. And again, credit to the broadcast. They mentioned that at one point. I thought so the two big easiest, if we're keeping it a buck, outside of a few stretches here and there, the Knicks have not really been able to stop this Pacers offense at any point in time when the Pacers are doing what you think they are supposed to do. So take out Tyrese Halliburton, turn it into a pumpkin in Game 5. Put that aside. And I understand Deuce McBride had a lot to do with that, but like Tyrese Halliburton should never disappear from a game to that degree. Take out the end of Game 3 when I thought the Pacers actually got a little rattled. That was, which I hope to God we're not looking back on that end of Game 3. I don't even want to say that out loud. I hope we don't look back on the end of Game 3 and have some serious regrets, but whatever. So take out those couple of moments, couple of segments of this series. The Knicks have not figured out a way to stop this Pacers offense when, as Benji always says, as DJ always says, they get put in the spin cycle, because that's what the Pacers do. They put you in the spin cycle. The ways that they have beaten this Pacer team have been obviously crash the defensive glass, so the Pacers are only getting one shot, and 2, turn them over a little bit. They don't turn the ball over a lot, this Pacers team. So if you could get them to turn it over a little bit more than they're used to, and again, Knicks got their hands on some balls tonight, did not convert those maybe deflections into enough turnovers, and the few they did convert into turnovers, the Knicks, I didn't think really capitalized as well as they could have. Knicks scored only, this is an egregious number. The Knicks only scored 6 points off of 9 Pacer turnovers. That's not good enough. And then the third thing is the best way to prevent the Pacer attack is you got to put the ball in the basket, because if you put the ball in the basket, not always, but it's harder for them. If you put the ball in the basket and they're taking the ball out of the hoop, well, they're not flying up and down in transition. And the Knicks tonight shot 43.9% from the field. They got it going from 3 a little bit late. All right, credit for that. They did not, their offense just simply was not good enough. And if you give the Pacers that many opportunities off of missed shots, they are just going to score more often than not. And then, by late third, early fourth, like the Knicks just defensively, like whatever was there early in the game in terms of defensive rotations, in terms of closeouts, like it was completely gone. And for a while there, and really for most of the second, I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, how did the Pacers only score 116 points? How did they score fewer points in the second half than they did in the first half? Because there were stretches of that second half where I was like, it seemed like they were scoring every time. And they shot 54% for the game, and they didn't even hit that much from 3. So, yeah, all that. I mean, I know Brunson ended up having a nice stat line. The last thing I'm going to do is sit here and kill Jalen Brunson. The man's allowed to have a bad half, but picked a rough time to have a bad half, because you wonder if he had a normal half, right? If he, instead of going 2 for 13, he goes, 6 for 13. And all of a sudden, it's not a 10-point game coming out of the half. It's a 2-point game coming out of the half. Well, maybe the Knicks find a little bit more within themselves. Once the Pacers got that lead back up to, like 16, 17, 18, which is where it started to get late in the third quarter, the Knicks, you knew it wasn't going to be their night, unfortunately. I'm going to try to end with some positives. I think Brunson getting going in the second half of this game, I think you have to look at it as a positive. I mean, he was 2 of 13 in the first half. He finished the game in the second half. He was 9 of 13, including making 3 of 5 from deep. I thought that was notable. And one of those threes was not a desperation attempt. It was actually a decent look at the end of the third quarter, but like not a great look. So really he hit some pull-ups. He hasn't done that really all playoffs. He hasn't really been hitting pull-ups since January. So the pull-ups started to go down. Hopefully Brunson can carry that over to Game 7. McBride, really nice game. DiVincenzo ended up not with a great stat line, but I thought he was good. He was good enough for the portion of the game that was, relevant. You feel like these guys are going to have enough. Nobody played over 40 minutes. I'm sure we're going to get some comments about maybe Tibbs should have pulled the plug a little earlier. DiVincenzo 39, Brunson 38, McBride 35. Look, it's a Game 7. if they're not ready to play and if they don't empty the tank for Game 7, this Thibodeau, when asked about Josh Hart, he said, "We'll see." Says he doesn't know what the injury is. I gotta tell you, if Josh Hart can't give it a go on Sunday, I know we keep saying, like, is this the straw that breaks the camel's back? Okay, is this the straw that breaks the camel's back? Is this the straw that breaks the camel's back? If they don't have Josh Hart for Sunday, man, that's, you want to talk about an uphill battle? Because then you're talking, all right, well, are you playing 6 guys? Are you giving Jericho Sims minutes? I mean, we've seen Shake Milton minutes. Like, what at that point, I don't even know. So I think the hope has to be that Hart could give them something on Sunday. And look, who knows? Maybe he comes off the bench or not comes off the bench. I mean, if he plays, he's going to start. But like, maybe he comes in and he inspires his team because he's able to give it a go. I think if he could walk, he's going to play. If he could walk, he's going to play. But we'll see. We don't even know what the injury is. So that's really it. I don't have anything else to say about this game. I don't really know what there is else to say about this game. It just, they didn't play well enough. And the Pacers played really well. That's all. Sometimes as simple as that. Sometimes not your night. And tonight it was not the Knicks night.